Well, they've got a little bit of everything for people of all ages. KX News' Mary Gutenkopf talked with a couple of hosts of a new local podcast about why they wanted to start their own little version of a show.
There's just a wealth of history in our city.
The Bismarck Historical Society's History Hotdish podcast is the newest way to learn about the old days and the people, places, and organizations that made our state what it is today.
These days, online is the way to go, and a podcast seemed perfect. Just a conversational type of program, just like we would be sitting on someone's sofa in their living room discussing a topic.
Hosted by a retired librarian and a retired professor, the podcast has bi-weekly episodes featuring people who have extensive knowledge about our area. And just like the name suggests, the History Hotdish has a little bit of everything.
And that's how we see the history of the city. There's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Hot dishes are good because it's a combination of elements that make up the flavor and the taste. Same thing with history. There's a combination of elements you put together that creates the history.
Co-host Michael McCormack says the podcast involves the older generations, but has the potential to fascinate the younger generations as well, with a side of history that they may not have heard about.
And the old cliche is those who don't understand the past will relive it and make the same mistakes. And so maybe the podcast might cause a person to think twice about something that's significant in the history of Bismarck. Or in many cases, my hope is to infect the younger generation into getting active in saving the older Bismarck.
And the podcast is something that everyone can enjoy, just like a hot dish.
It isn't something that would take up your whole day. If you're sitting doing your ironing or reading a book and say, I don't like this book anymore, put it down and we'll give you 28 minutes of scintillating interview with people that maybe you should know, or in some cases do know but don't know about them.
Reporting for KX News, I'm Mary Gutenkopf.
The first podcast episode was released on January 10th. You can find it on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and on the radio. If you want to find a link to see a spot where you can listen to it, just look for this story at kxnet.com.